real life Ryan. So these are the top 50 manga he's recommending, or at least top 50 manga that's there. So let's go.
Obviously, I'm not going to go into crazy detail in all of the manga because the video would be way too long. Also, this is my list based upon personal preference.
I will
So
shout
this
out
is not
Aaron.
a
Don't
matter
worry, hon.
of what is the best written manga or what do I think is the best artistic expression. This is just my personal favorites. So I'm just ranking it on what I like based upon my own personal taste and interests. So obviously my list is going to look a
That
lot
was
different
funny.
than your list. The other thing right off the bat that I need to say is there is still a bunch of popular manga that I have not read, and they will not be on the list because I won't be including anything that I haven't read anything of. So no, One Piece is not on the list,
What?
JoJo's is not on the list, Bleach is not on the list, Jujutsu Kaisen is not on the list, and whatever other popular manga that you could name right now is also not on the list. There's also
Oh, you just knocked out the majority of most people on anime, the normies. I'm gonna say most normies.
anime that I really enjoy, like Death Note or Inuyasha, but I have not read the manga counterpart, so I also cannot include those since I'm doing just strictly manga and not anime. But other than that, guys, just sit back and enjoy, and let me know what your list is down below. You don't have to rank, 50, but if you want to do your top 10, top 25. So this is just something I do at the end of every year to kind of regather my thoughts and talk about the manga that I've read. Now, I will be honest, once I got to about number 46 on the list, the final four, I kind of was just struggling to fill in the gaps here. Clearly, I need to read some more manga. Now, at number 50...
Too many meetings? Missing the key.
I don't give a shit. But I hope you're doing well, Star, and hoping you have an awesome day. Oop, oop.
Right now, and this is only temporary, right now I'm going to put Blade of the Immortal. And the only
Okay.
reason it's down so low is because I've only read about 20 chapters of it, okay? So I need to read more of it. I have not finished it. So Blade of the Immortal is on the list just because I have read some of it, but I haven't gotten far enough to really be able to rank it yet. Same thing with number 49, Dorohedoro. I have started the manga. I've read a couple.
Then wouldn't it make more sense not to put it on the list if it's not like... And that kind of like not giving it its fair share? Wouldn't that make sense to read most of it to get a good sum of idea what's happening than just read a couple of... I don't know, maybe
couple of volumes, but I have not finished it, so it's only at number 49 just based upon the fact that I haven't finished it yet. At number 48, I'm putting Gigantomaxia, which is a one-volume manga written by Kentaro Miura, which is the author of Berserk. It was kind of a side manga that he was doing for a while. It's got some interesting post-apocalyptic, kind of like almost Attack on Titan vibes to it. I really enjoyed it. It's a shame that it never got any further, but I like it for what it is. At number 47, I'm going to put Junji Ito's adaptation of Frankenstein. Frankenstein's always been one of my favorite stories by Mary Shelley, and I think that Junji Ito did a great job adapting it and just put some really sadistic, creepy images in the manga. I read it for the first time this past October, and I absolutely loved it. At number 46, I'm going to put All You Need Is Kill, which is another really short sci-fi manga about a character going into war against a bunch of alien creatures, and he dies right away. But then he wakes up the same exact day, and he has to relive that day over and over, trying to get farther and farther, constantly dying, constantly getting
Yeah, that's that movie that Tom Cruise kind of ripped off. I want to say the word ripped off because they said it's respectfully trying to get close to the adaptation, but it's not adaptation for obvious reasons. But like, it's supposed to be like, it takes high inspiration, whatever.
Incarnated and living the same day over and over until you can figure out just what the hell is going on and how to combat these creatures. At number 45 is also the other Kentaro Miura side manga called Doranki, although this one was particularly worked on mostly by Studio Gaga. Most people say as a way to kind of train the staff to get accustomed to his art style, but I think this had a really fun, whimsical kind of fantasy vibe to it. It didn't get too dark yet. It never really had a chance to, but I really like the style and I like the beginning of the story. It feels kind of like The Lost Boys, but in a dark fantasy setting. There was something really interesting about this manga. Unfortunately, it did get canceled so that the team could specifically work on Berserk, but I really liked what we saw of Doranki, and I would love them to maybe go back to it someday. At number 44, I'm putting Tokyo Ghoul, and I know a lot of people
Oh,
would have
Jesus
this really,
Christ.
really high on their list, and I'm not saying anything is bad about the series itself. It just didn't gravitate to me as much as it did to some people. I still really enjoyed it. I love the kind of dark horror vibes to it, the ghouls themselves, and I think Kaneki is a really, really great protagonist. Just overall, I like a lot of other manga better. That's really what it comes down to. And number 43 is DRCL Midnight Children by Shinichi Sakamoto, who has some of the greatest artwork that I have ever seen in any manga or comic or just anything ongoing. Granted, I am quite far behind in this manga right now, but it is
I have no problem with Tokyo Ghoul. I have no problem with it. It's just never really I never really gravitated towards it. I never know why. I just don't have that same like wanting to. I never had that wanting to get into it. And even when I watched some of the anime, I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, that's kind of cool." But it didn't like blow my mind or anything. Maybe it's just because I had other anime to compare it to at the time.
Loose adaptation of the Dracula novel.
So I'm being kind of
I got a
biased.
Frankenstein adaptation and a Dracula adaptation in here, and it's really, really great so far, especially the dark, horrific imagery within it. Definitely a horror manga for sure. I need to get back to it, but from what I've read so far, it's absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to continue it. Number 42 is another horror manga by the legendary Junji Ito with Tomi, or should I say Tomie? Sorry about that. The story of a girl that experiences an extremely dark and barbaric death, and then all of a sudden begins to haunt many different people in many different ways. Really is a terrifying story. It's got a lot of different aspects to it, like a lot of different short stories kind of all in one, maybe similar to Uzumaki, and it all kind of flows into one narrative in one way or another, but it's really good and definitely a good Junji Ito story to check out. At my number 41 right now, I'm going to put Gigant, which is a story by Hiroya Oku, who is a
heard this
mangaka
one.
that I really, really enjoy. This series in particular is definitely an acquired taste and a hard one to recommend. I don't really know how to even describe it shortly, other than just there's a porn star that becomes a kaiju. It's
Excuse
honestly
me?
actually really good. Like there's stuff.
Excuse
about,
me?
listen, okay, it's actually good. All right, just
Fucking excuse me? Okay.
just check it out. At number 40, I'm going to put Holy Land by Koji Mori, which is a street fighting manga starring a protagonist that is really, really engaging and emotional, and he goes through a lot of different journeys in order to try to become stronger. It's basically a story about a kid that starts off very, very weak and begins to get stronger within this kind of like underground street fighting scenario, and the level of detail that Mori puts into the fighting itself. You know, this guy is a big fighting fan, and I think he follows.
I say it because it's famous manga and anime and some the manga I've never heard of. That's good. That's the point of why we watch this. We don't like. I don't mind if someone recommends like a One Piece, a Jujutsu Kaisen, a Hunter x Hunter, a Dragon Ball, whatever the fuck. I'm looking for stuff that is brand new, that people don't mention, you don't hear about. You might find something that might really get that itch, whether it's manga or anime. I'm looking for interesting anime that has what I look for is first is art style, story, and then characters. Those are the three things that I'm looking for: art style, story, characters. Right? Because I just don't like going with all the typical stuff all the time. It's just too like expected to just go to One Piece or just everything One Piece and Dragon Ball and shit like that.
You know, a lot of professional fighters in MMA and stuff, and he definitely incorporates a lot of knowledge of fighting within this story, as well as having a really compelling protagonist. So all of it works very, very well when it meshes together. At number 39, I'm putting Blame, which is this sci-fi story.
Blame.
With
I remember this one.
I
heard this one.
This giant
been going for story and art style
and expand, and this character.
Oh, yours is story and art style.
The wastelands within. A lot of crazy stuff goes down in this manga, and
I
it
gotcha,
really is captivating.
What if I told you there was a puppet theater anime?
At times.
A puppet theater anime? Like it's like a literal puppet theater, like puppets, but anime characters? Chibi-looking anime characters, or something to that extent? Is that a real thing? Or is it an anime using puppets? That makes sense. Is a anime drawn,
Samurai.
but they're using puppets
Interesting.
in the anime drawn? Or is it literal people using puppets to tell the story with anime characters? Like in Sesame Street or some shit. That's not a bad example. I seen like a Muppets or some shit. Maybe like that. Or that what's that Chinese show with the I think I know what you're referring to. It's that I think it's Chinese or probably it's Japanese. It's like oh my god. It's like they use actual puppets like and there's fight scenes and shit. I think I know what you're referring to. Thunderbolt Fantasy. Let me wait. I think that's the one. Hold up. Let me look that up. Let me look that up. Let me look that up. Hold up. I'm gonna put this right. Hold on. Actually, you know what? Better yet, let's go back here. Okay. Hold up, guys. I want to check this out. Thunderbolt Fantasy. Yep, that's it. That's the one. That shit goes hard. I'm not, bro. This is a strange, yo. This shit goes weirdly hard. I've seen this. It's like, it's weird. It's like if you watch those old Japanese or Chinese like kung fu movies where they try to dub over it type stuff, and like in the early 2000s. I can't play it because of the copyright, but Jesus Christ, I know exactly this. I've seen like clips of this. This shit goes hard. I saw it on TikTok. It's just funny. It is super funny, but like, oh man, it takes itself literally seriously, bro. It takes itself extremely seriously. Let me see. Okay, I feel you. Okay. This is it. This goes hard. Look at it. Oh my god. The mastery of the puppet movements and stuff is so believable. Like I won't say believable, but it's convincing.
It's got 3 seasons and 2
two movies. Oh my god. Yo, this is close. This is the closest thing to a 3D anime I'll ever watch and like accept, other than Trigun. And probably Ruby, but that's debatable. But like, Jesus Christ, this shit goes hard. Let me see. Let's say fight scene. Let's just say fight scene. Like just one fight scene. I just want one. This shit goes hard. Let me see. Okay, get to the fight. I hear Naruto. Get to the fight, come on. Fights the school hallway. Let's go. Bro, it's playing like Attack on Titan fucking music. Bro, this is why the Asians got it locked.
Samurai.
What the hell? Yes! Like, bro, this is some Attack on Titan type music in the background. Like, what the fuck? It's like, what the hell?
Why this looks so clean.
It goes hard, bro. Same composer? Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, I knew it. This is amazing. Yo, I'm like, the show is very like it goes hard, bro. Like it's you don't think you're gonna like it, but you're actually going to like it because what throws you off, you're gonna think, oh, it's gonna look like shit because it's puppets, but whether it's the Japanese or Chinese they got that lock. They know how to make the fight scenes look at least convincing enough. Like, okay, this is a fight. It's not, like, you know what I'm saying? It's different. It's different, but it ain't gonna piss you off, right? It may still not be your thing. That's fine, but it's a lot better than 3D anime half the time. The only decent 3D anime is that Crystal Glass movie. I forgot what that is. The Trigon movie, and I guess you can consider Ruby, but that's really debatable depending who you're asking. But I'm just saying, like, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. That's crazy.
But it's also really exciting. I don't know how quite to explain it, but it's definitely one that I would really recommend checking out, especially if you're a big sci-fi fan. And going into a completely different genre, at number 38, I have the manga Green Blood, which is a Western manga. It's very, very short, but it's basically sort of a revenge story involving two brothers. And again, the artwork is just out of this world in this manga. And I've always been a big Western fan as far as movies go. And I think this manga definitely captures the cinematic feeling of a lot of Westerns while also throwing in that Japanese, style and flair that manga is really known for. So it's a good blend, short story, amazing artwork. Check it out.
Yeah, no, they're not bad. When it comes to fight scenes, I have no issue with Ruby. It's just like sometimes when they're not doing the fighting.
At number 37, I have Ino Asano's Dead Dead Demons Destruction. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a really good story about an alien invasion, although the story focuses on the friendship between two girls. And it's kind of interesting because the main primary focus of the story is the characters, and although there is an alien invasion happening, and it does play into the plot, and it is important, the relationship dynamic that you're watching is way more important than what's happening in the background. And it's kind of an interesting look of like how people would respond to just a giant spaceship floating overhead and nobody really knows what's going on, but you have to continue to live and experience life. And I don't know, just check it out. There's an anime coming out for it soon. Number 36, I have another Junji Ito story, which is Hellstar Remina, basically about a giant planet that is on a collision course with Earth and how
I like the story of Princess, but the 3D is bright and the white gets too bright for my. Okay, I gotcha.
Humans respond to it, which is another good look at humanity.
I guess it'll be a bit disorienting if you're watching the show, but it is what it is.
How people use scapegoats to try to point to a person to blame all of their problems on, or just the mass hysteria of what it would cause. And again, just kind of feeling that sense of hopelessness of this inevitable end. So definitely a good story to check out. Sci-fi sort of cosmic horror. At number 35, I have Goodbye Eerie by the author of Chainsaw Man.
That's not that anime movie. That's that anime movie, right? It's like a white character. I forgot her name, but it's a main character is a female. I think she's a princess. It's like a 2D. It's like a 2.5D like anime, or I think it's totally 3D, but I think it's 2.5.
Which is another very, very short manga, but it deals with a character that has lost the death of a parent and how he copes with that, as well as his friendship with another character that kind of plays into it. And it's a really, really interesting look at how we.
So what is this man talking about? New animes
that we love that's no longer
not animes, but new, like mangas that he has.
Taxi.
Yeah, like it's like new mangas that he's recommending or he has read. So he's telling them a premise of what the manga is. If it if it interests people who wants to hear or have it on the fence, or the case may be. I do this because a lot of people who watch my shit, whether it's gaming or doing artwork, they're usually some form of a fan of anime in some form, shape, or just a manga reader. So I like to recommend them this while I'm working. So there's a conversation being had, and there's anime mangas I've never heard about that are interesting, funny, very gruesome, or just outright interesting in their own right. So that's why. And it starts conversations and it brings in newcomers and all that great
Samurai.
stuff. So.
I heard Goodbye Eri is pretty good.
Goodbye Eri? Okay.
Around and
Goodbye,
how
Eri.
maybe things that we do seem
Wait,
strange to other people, but that everybody has to
One of
kind
those
of
videos I
process
think we
it
did.
in their own way. At number 34, I have another Sakamoto manga called Innocent, which takes place right before the French Revolution, and along with its amazing artwork, it also depicts the horrors of the execution style at the time, and its main protagonist is an executioner. This is before the guillotine, and the ways that people would go about just dismembering or destroying, cutting up, tying people to horses and watching them be ripped apart. This is definitely a very gruesome manga and not for the faint of heart, especially with how detailed the artwork can be, but it's also a very compelling story about an actual historical figure. At number 33, I have Planets by Makoto Yukimura, who is the author of Vinland Saga. This is a sci-fi style manga, although nothing kind of crazy happens. It really does deal a lot with human connection and being detached from people, and a lot of the outer space kind of scenery and setting really makes you feel that sense of isolation or lack of connection, and it's a really interesting, short and sweet manga that I definitely recommend checking out. At number 32, I have Starving Anonymous, which is a horror manga about a character that wakes up in an underground facility with giant fucking bugs. Yeah, it's pretty good. At number 31, I have Violence Jack, which is by the creator of Devilman Go Nagai, which is this post-apocalyptic wasteland world where people are just trying to survive. Imagine a Mad Max-style world, except just like the title implies, incredibly violent, with a guy named Violence Jack who goes around with a giant knife and, does his thing. At number 30...
So, ain't that basic? Well, Jack the Ripper, but I think, but isn't that basically North Star? Fist of the North Star, kind of? Isn't it a post-apocalyptic? Even the art style looks like it. I think probably the same person.
30, I have Junji Ito's adaptation of No Longer Human. This is another manga that I read very recently this October. Apparently based on a very famous Japanese novel about a guy that was just going through an incredibly dark, horrific lifestyle, dealing with tons of trauma in his past, trying to ignore it, trying to numb himself with alcohol and prostitutes, and just going down a really, really dark path. And at every opportunity he has to maybe change his ways or change his life or turn his life around, he ends up hurting more people, hurting himself. And it just really is overall a very dark, depressing manga, but I think a very intelligent look at the mind and the way that somebody thinks when they're in this really, really dark kind of depressive state.
Not gonna lie, if this was in West, you won't be able to write it.
It's very brutal, very realistic.
Samurai.
So again,
You're
not for the
already
faint
dead.
of heart. There's no fantasy elements here. All the dark stuff is very, very real and raw and just put on full display without any censoring. At number 29, I have Record of Ragnarok, which is a battle tournament style manga that I am a little bit farther behind on, but I've really, really enjoyed everything I've watched so far. Basically about humanity versus the gods for the fate of humanity, to see if humanity still survives. And it's got all these different gods and deities from different religions that show up. You have Zeus there, you have Buddha, you have all of these different characters. So to me, someone who's not, religious, I just kind of have fun with it, and I just kind of enjoy seeing all of these different deities and different religions, and all of these things kind of come together into one giant battle arena, which is, I don't know, a lot of fun. At number 28, I have Baki, and with Baki and along with another manga I'm going to have on this list, they have multiple incarnations. I just kind of lumped it all into one. So there's Baki the Grappler, Baki Hanma, but it's all the same story. It's just different manga. I don't know. It can get a...
Yeah, I always wondered that. Are all the Baki series all connected, or are they just different stories, different adaptations of the Baki series? Are they connected? Because when I tried to watch the anime on Netflix, I wasn't too sure when I was watching it. They was mentioning things in the anime as if I was missing something. Right? So I was like, oh shit, I think there's an anime before this one. This is not an adaptation. This is a up-to-date version.
They're connected.
They're connected. Okay. Because like what's weird about yes, they are. Okay. The what's weird about it is because when I was watching the anime for the very first time, my first watching of it, it was on Netflix. Right? So like I was thinking, oh, okay, it's on Netflix. I'll give it a try. It kind of reminds me a bit of JoJo and its like in its insaneness because it's kind of insane on how things are presented in this show. But that's kind of like the point. But like when a character will talk about something, they'll play like a whole flashback, and you can tell what is a flashback and what
Samurai.
is you have to watch something.
Watch Beiki the Grappler first.
Yeah, I think that I came to a realization that you have to watch the old animes to make sense of the current one that you're watching on Netflix. I was like, fuck.
Faendal. Beiki on Netflix is a continuation of the first series.
Yeah, I didn't know that in life, so I was like, you know what, I have to watch the old shit to make sense of the new shit. So I'm kind of glad about that in a sense, but I was kind of annoyed at the same time because I got super lazy after that when I realized it.
A little bit confusing, but it's one of the greatest fighting manga of all time. I'm not fully caught up with it, but I really, really love this series, and there's no other series besides this and one other that just make me want to work out and go to the gym more than Baki does. Number 27, I have a manga called Homunculus, and I'll also put a warning on this one that this can get pretty dark and pretty gruesome and pretty raw. It's about a character that winds up being able to see sort of the psychological damage in other people, but he's also seeing reflections of himself, and the depictions and the artwork and some of the things he does, you know, like tasting things, it can get kind of wild. So not for the faint of heart, but definitely a really interesting manga. At number 26, I have Parasite, which is a sci-fi series about a kid that gets an alien trapped within his hand, whereas these aliens are coming down like parasites, taking over people's minds, and it's basically kind of like a invasion of the body snatchers type of thing, but also dealing with humanity's place in the universe and what it really means to be human. At number 25, I have Fist of the North Star, which is the other manga that really makes me want to work out and go to the gym. Just watching Kenshiro wander the wastelands and beat the ever-loving fuck out of all the evil bastards in the world. Listen, it might get a little repetitive, but I just can't help but get that catharsis every single time I see Kenshiro be a badass. At number 24, I'm going to put Uzumaki, which is my favorite Junji Ito story still, and it is actually the first Junji Ito story I read. Just the Curse of the Spiral. I can't really explain it. Can't really get into it without talking about specific scenes, but I would say it's a pretty good introduction to Junji Ito if you've never read any of his stuff. At number 23, I'm putting Claymore, which is a shonen series kind of taking place in a dark fantasy setting with a bunch of super strong female warriors called the Claymores. Has a really, really great main character, has a lot of conspiracy theories that are revealed as time goes on, and just some amazing artwork and battle sequences too. I would definitely highly recommend it. At number 22, I'm going to put Bastard, which is subtitled Heavy Metal Dark Fantasy, and that's exactly what this is.
Okay.
This
okay,
is
that's not,
one of
okay.
the most ridiculous, over-the-top manga that I have ever read, featuring a ton
Bye.
of
I'm gonna hop off. Have a nice day. You too, Ghost. Hope to see you again, Ghost. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for being part of the stream. I do appreciate you. Thank you. You're awesome, and keep being awesome. And enjoy more Fallout if you can, till Todd Howard totally just bends over and gets taken by Larry Fink.
Monsters, wizards, and a main character that is just so
thank you, I appreciate it. Thank
and
you.
naked half the time.
Hit that bell,
I don't even
guys.
know
I
what's going on.
Thank you.
Scantily clad chicks. Somehow it turns into an existential space Evangelion series eventually, but never stops being as perverted as possible.
Heavy
and number
metal
21,
dark
I am putting Akira, which is
Yeah.
another manga I read for the first time this year.
Now, if I remember right, I don't know if this was Netflix's doing, but like, I know Bastard came out on Netflix for a good while now. I wonder if what you see on the anime from Netflix is anything close to the manga, and I feel like they are not. I could be wrong, but I feel like the manga is a lot more brutal and a lot more edgier compared to the manga series. I mean, to the anime series that's on Netflix. I have that feel they tone shit down for obvious reasons, especially for Westerners. I have this weird feeling.
Although I was a fan of the
Idk.
movie for many, many, many years, I will say with certainty that the Akira manga definitely expands a lot more of the story and explains a lot more, and also shows a lot of crazy things that never got a chance to be expressed within the movie. And in the movie, there's like characters that are maybe important for one scene or 1 minute that are actually really, really fleshed out and have complete story arcs within the manga version. So I would definitely say if you want that kind of classic 80s cyberpunk manga, Akira is the way to go. At number 20, I have Devilman, which is a classic series that I think everybody needs to read if you're into manga. Although it can get a little bit dark and a little bit explicit, this is kind of the jumping off point that a lot of other creators use as their inspiration. You see it in almost everything, especially any manga dealing with any sort of darkness or hellscape or demonic entities. A lot of manga take inspiration from Devilman. I think it has a really, really important part to play within the history of this entire medium. At number 19, I have Monster, which is an incredible psychological series. It's one that I had a lot of fun with. I really like the anime version of it as well. And I think that this manga would be really, really well suited if somebody ever wanted to make some kind of live action adaptation, because it is grounded, it's realistic, it's adult. I think you could do this as like
if you're asking Westerners to do that, they'll fuck it all up. I'm dead serious. I'm not even going to play this game. If Westerners got their hands on Monster and made an adaptation, especially Netflix, they'll fuck it all up. They'll be like, you know what? This is a great show. This is a great story. It has mystery. It has brutal scenes. It has this. It has that. Let's just do the opposite of all that, because Westerners, we're just gonna do what we do best. You know what I'm saying? We do the opposite. Like, I think the best way to get Westerners to do what you want them to do, tell them the premise of your show, but tell them the opposite of your show. They might do the quite right in that sense. So write an anime, make it successful, or think of it as pretty successful. Go up to a Netflix producer, give them the script of your thing, but everything opposite of that, and they'll do the opposite of that by making it great. Think about it. Make your main character a person of color.
Yeah, they think they know what's best for the fans.
Yeah, make him a person of color, make him disabled, and a woman at the same time. And then all of a sudden you got yourself a white male. You'll get yourself that's what they'll do, the opposite of what they're expected to do. I bet you they'll do that. That's how fucking insane this is. I'm not even trying to be funny on that sense.
LMAO.
You'll get the opposite of what you wrote. It's insane.
Limited series or something like that, but definitely worth checking
Ryga
out. But at number
Samurai.
18, I
Reverse
actually
psychology.
I know, right?
might be in the minority, but I like 20th Century Boys a little bit more than Monster. They're both created by the same author, Urasawa.
Okay, I'm not familiar with 20th Century Boys. I've seen this picture thousands of times on TikTok, where people are using this character as a form of profile picture. I guess this is one of those animes you don't hear about, but you've seen but no hear about. But it seems to be one of those good ones, because I see a lot of people use this character a lot for their profile pictures or whatever the case may be. There's one in particular who likes to do a bunch of power scaling, but like, Jesus Christ.
But 20th Century Boys, to me, I think had this really fun sense of whimsy with the child characters and watching these characters grow up, and then also this big mystery element of who Friend is and what the conspiracy behind him is. And I'm a man that loved his conspiracy theories, so this manga just really, really appealed to me. At number 17, I have Chainsaw Man, which is still ongoing. Part 1 is complete, but Part 2 is going on right now, and I'm actually reviewing all of the chapters as they come out. Really, really enjoyed Chainsaw Man. I think it has potential to grow even higher on the list, but since it is still ongoing, right now it's going to sit at 17, but I still think that's a pretty good spot for it. At number 16, I have Full Metal Alchemist. What more can you say about this series? It's iconic. It's amazing. There's really no fault. There's no bad thing about this series. Like, there's really no negatives I can think of. The only reason it's at number 16 and not towards the top 10 is I just happen to like some other manga more, but I have nothing bad to say about this manga at all. At number 15, I have a manga called Eden. It's an Endless World.
You know what's really funny? I don't think it's rarely I ever see anyone say Full Metal was part of the top 3 or the big 3 or anything like that. I'm surprised at how much this anime is always praised for like its storytelling, story writing, its writing, its storytelling, and also its overall art style, but it's never up there with like the big three like that, in my opinion. It never seems to be. It just seems like it's kind of like, you know what Full Metal Alchemist is. It's like the Eminem of like anime. Like, you know he's good, and you know Eminem has bangers and shit, but you don't really bring him. Well, no, people bring up Eminem, but I'm just saying, like, they just pretend like he doesn't exist for whatever reason. It's weird. Maybe Eminem's not the best example since he's a superstar. I think someone else, another like rapper, if I can use one, if I can think of one.
This is a really strange one too because it's very hard to describe. It is kind of science fiction, it is kind of dystopian, but it's really, really hard to find because there's really no English volumes that are out there. I had to find it online somewhere, but as I read through this, it does get very, very dark. It definitely shows war scenes. It shows people that get addicted to drugs. There's this weird kind of virus entity that exists. Dude, it just goes in a lot of crazy directions, but somehow manages to keep a very good narrative flow and nothing feels super out of place. I would definitely recommend it, but with caution. At number 14, Samurai. I'm putting a series again that I read for the first time this year.
And is it? That's a good question, Brian. That's a good question. I never even stopped to think about that. Holy shit! Let me look that up. I'll do that right now. Hold up. Fuck. That's a good question. Shit, I gotta use Bing. Ew. I hate Bing. But I would use Google Chrome, but there's a good reason why I don't use it when I'm doing streams. Is FMA a shonen? What is the plot? Why are manga and anime considered shonen? I'm convinced only the reason that
Riot ga Samurai. Because when people talk about the big three, they're talking about shonen anime.
Yeah, they refer to it like, they think of like it was like Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, I think in the 80s it was like Yu Yu Hakusho, Sailor Moon, and Dragon Ball, and then it was like in the 90s it was like, I think Dragon Ball. It was Dragon Ball, I think Hunter x Hunter, and some other show. Then in the early 2000s, it was Dragon Ball, Naruto, and then no, in the 90s it was like Dragon Ball, One Piece, and then whatever show at the time. And then I think it was 2000s is like Dragon Ball again, One Piece, and then Naruto. And then I think in the mid 2000s it was like somewhere between Bleach, One Piece, and Dragon Ball. And then now it's kind of like Demon Slayer, Black Clover, and My Hero. Or something like that. I probably have that a bit wrong, but like, you know what I'm saying here. Oh, and I forgot Attack on Titan somewhere down the line, but like, Jesus Christ. It was kind of like that. Kind of. But no one ever mentioned it being a shonen. Hold on, let me check. This is too small. Did I say fan fiction? Oh, science fiction, fantasy, anime. Okay. I don't mean to go Wikipedia, but let's see what is genre: dark fantasy, steampunk, and adventure. Okay, Okay, steampunk world Full Metal Alchemist is primarily stylized in European Industrial Revolution set in the 20th century. Fictional universe, which alchemy is widely practiced science and widely Full Metal Alchemist has been adapted into various things, released video games. They need a video game. Yo, we need a Full Metal Alchemist video game, bro. The last time Full Metal Alchemist was made was back in 2003. Like the video game was in 2005 or 2004. 2004, between 2004 and 2006 or some shit. Oh no, it's shonen. Demographic shonen. It is a shonen.
NGL manga these days really thin the line between shonen and seinen like Chainsaw and Hell's Paradise and It.
Yeah, it's an imprint Genin com. It's not. Sadly, it's not with Jump, but its demographic is shonen. So it's ultimately a shonen, but it's not with Shonen Jump. It's a dark fantasy steampunk adventure shonen. It just wasn't with Shonen Jump. It's with Viz Media.
Raiga Samurai. But I'm not complaining.
Yeah, true. I won't complain either. I won't complain.
Alita. Now, Alita has a lot of different versions of the story. It's kind of
like
similar to Baki in the
sense
like
that Fairy
one manga will
or like
complete,
Naruto.
And then another manga is kind of like a sequel.
No, Fairy Tail and
there's
Naruto's
Alita
in
Battle Angel. There's
Hey,
Alita
isn't both
Last
Fairy
Order,
Tail and Naruto's with Shonen Jump at least, even though it's with Viz Media?
Is still actually ongoing, although the releases are very, very sporadic. Alita became one of my favorite manga of all time after reading it. I absolutely fell in love with this character. I adore her so much. She is probably my favorite female protagonist that I've ever read. Alita is filled with wondrous action scenes along with really, really great stories about this conspiracy of how the world operates right now, what is happening off-world, what does it mean to be
I didn't
human,
know that shit.
the cybernetics that are at play here.
Oh wait, that does make sense because Natsu's not in the Jump universe. He's not in the Jump video games. Holy shit, I actually thought he was. That is so awkward. That is so goddamn awkward. I didn't even realize that. I thought oh my god. The whole time I thought of Natsu and Friends, I thought that was in Shonen. A Shonen Jump project. Viz Media just happened to be the one animating or publishing the anime. But I now realize the manga is not with Shonen Jump either. I don't think so. Holy shit, this explains why they're not in Jump, the video game.
Great stuff. And when you get to Last Order, it's basically like a giant tournament arc, but also in a strange, weird sci-fi space setting. I just love this manga so much, and I was just shocked at how much I liked it and how long it took me to actually get around to reading it. I just highly, highly, highly recommend reading the Alita manga. And number 13 is One Punch Man. What more can I say? This manga never fails to make me laugh. The story of Saitama just defeating everybody with one punch, but also still having really, really compelling stories and a great group arsenal of side characters like Genos and Garo and all of these other characters, Tatsumaki and my future wife, Fubuki. All of them have such great dynamics with one another, and you would think a story about a character that can beat everybody with one punch would be boring, but that is the testament to the writing of this story, that it continues to be so engaging and so hilarious. Even almost 200 chapters later, still ongoing, it's still fantastic. At my number 12, I am putting Hellsing. This is a pretty short series, but has one of the most badass, overpowered main characters of all time with Alucard the vampire and a renegade group of like Nazi vampires that try to take over the world. And Alucard is just such an interesting case because, you know, he is the protagonist, but he is a vampire through and through, and he thrives on chaos and bloodshed, and just watching Alucard do his thing and put other people in their place, I just never get tired of it. Number 11 is Yoshihiro Togashi's Yu Yu Hakusho, and although I do enjoy the anime a bit more than the manga, it's still the same story, and to me, I think the manga is pretty fantastic. I love Yusuke as a protagonist. He's one of my favorite protagonists of all time, and this is a shonen series that I will always love, and honestly one that I see kind of mimicked a lot with more modern shonen, and I think that a lot of people should go back and experience Yu Yu Hakusho just to kind of see what inspired this new current generation of manga. So now the top 10, and my top 10 has not changed from last year. These are still my top 10 favorite manga of all time, so let's just barrel right through them. Number 10 is Inuyashiki, which is a sci-fi series about an elderly man as a protagonist, which I think is really unique and interesting, as well as a young teen character who both wake up finding themselves turned into cyborgs and the different directions that they choose to go down because of it. It is a very dark series, although very wholesome at the same time. It's by the author of Gantz, and it never gets quite as disgusting and dark as Gantz does. However, there are still those moments in there, and you could tell by it's by the same author, but it has a really, really wholesome message at the heart of it, and I think it's a beautiful manga that not enough people talk about.
I'm gonna pick a fight.
I don't think anyone said, my God, that Aquaman movie was amazing. I can't get enough of that motherfucker. Nope. I don't think that ever happened once. I don't think anyone said anything positive about this movie in the slightest. Whether it was positive, I think it's either two things, two type of people. Either people said it's shit or never watched it at all.
I really, really love this series, and final chapter aside, I don't think it's bad enough to retroactively ruin the entire series for me. I still like the journey. I still love the discovery of figuring out what the Titans are. My favorite part of the series is actually the later half after the time skip, and, it's a series that, regardless of how you think about it now after it's ended, it definitely will stand the test of time. Same thing with my number 8. This may be a simple choice, but Dragon Ball is peak. I really got nothing more to say about it. Dragon Ball is a great manga. It might seem overrated now, but if you go back and read I'm only talking about the original Akira Toriyama Dragon Ball. I'm not talking about the new stuff, but if you go back and read the original Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, it is wonderfully done. Amazingly hilarious, tons of really well-drawn action sequences. The man knows how to panel his shit, and this is the baseline of how so many anime and so many manga have been inspired by. At number 7, I have Goodnight Poon Poon, which is another one that I would throw a warning label on. It definitely will delve into the mind of somebody going through intense despair and depression, but the interesting thing about Poon Poon is that it stars a character that begins as a child, like a very, very young character, and by the end of the manga grows into, I think, around his mid-20s, and so seeing that progression of his character, seeing the hope and optimism and the curiosity he has as a kid, as life and everything else in his own mind just slowly beat him down over time. The series gets darker and darker as it goes on. It shows that lots of people have skeletons in their closet. It's just a very, very dark, depressing series that depicts what it's like to be depressed in one of the most authentic ways I've ever seen. Number 6, I have Vagabond, which is the story of Miyamoto Musashi, one of the most famous swordsmen in Japanese history, and deals with his life story as he goes from being this sort of hot-headed young kid that wants to be the strongest in the world and then trying to figure out what being the strongest actually means. It has a lot of philosophy within it. It might not be super heavy on dialogue, but it has a lot of emotion, and it has a lot of just really...
I wonder, would you guys watch an anime based on Samurai Jack? They just took the same show. The Japanese saw the show, looked at it, and said, "We're gonna redo the whole show, but just an anime. In our own and Studio Trigger will be, or whatever anime."
Raiga Samurai.
Would you watch that?
Hell yeah.
I watched the shit out of that. Imagine that. Imagine if they had Samurai Jack. They redesigned him and everything. They go exactly how the story is exactly. And they go with the comic book version, not the fucking rushed up animated version that they did on Adult Swim because Adult Swim wanted to get the shit out the door for whatever their reason was. So they rushed the animation team and the Arthur or whoever the fuck to just quickly get out of the way.
Raiga Samurai. Imagine how crazier the fight scenes would be.
Yep. Imagine that. Imagine how that'll go hard. You know what will be my favorite? Okay, there'll be there's my favorite Samurai Jack episode is Haunted. Does anyone remember that episode? Hey, hum. How you doing, hun? I hope you're doing well.
Says hey bean.
You guys remember Haunted?
you.
The Haunted episode where Jack is in the cemetery, and I literally thought as a kid Jack was gonna die. I was actually literally convinced that was the episode he was going to die at. I think the creepiest thing I remember as a kid when watching that was when Aku was looking for Jack in the cemetery, and Jack was all beat up already by the monsters that he sent on him. Oh, well, I'll say monsters, the robot beetles. And he said he was looking for Jack. He said, Jack, where are you, samurai? You can't hide from me.
Because I love the episode where he was up against the blind archers and the hunters that.
Oh, that one. I think what episode was that? That was like episode 15 with the blind archers, the monks. That was an interesting one. But I think the favorite one is when Aku said he can smell his blood from a distance. That was crazy. He's like, you can't run from me, samurai, because I can smell your blood. And Jack made a face like, oh shit! And he started blasting at him behind the thing. That was wild to me. I was like, oh shit! And man, and then when Aku got Jack's sword and he held him down and he was gonna go for the finishing blow, I was like, this is it, bro! It's over! It's over! No! And then it just like everyone's neck just broke open. Like, what the hell? Like, what just happened? What the fuck happened? Like, what?
That got me too.
That shit got me so hard. I was like, what the hell? And he's like, oh shit, you can't kill me with this thing. It only hurts those of non-pure heart. I was like, oh, that's just so, like, I'm gonna run with it because my boy Jack is alive at the time as a kid. But like, let's be honest, that shit made me mad a little bit.
Was going crazy.
I was going mad. Bro, that got me so hard. And then I think one of the most upsetting things I saw when watching Samurai Jack is when he fought that blue guy, the guardian to the portal. When he got his ass, when Jack got fucked up, oh my god, bro. I felt so bad for Jack. I was like, bro, not my boy Jack. Like, Jack to me, Jack was the John Wick of my era, right? He was John Wick to me as a kid, right? You can't beat Jack. It's Jack, it's Jack, you can't fuck with Jack. You can't kill Jack like Samurai Jack. You just can't. It's like John Wick. As a kid, he was a John Wick to me in my era.
Says, do you remember the hunters that chased him like prey?
Oh yes, the hunters. Oh wait. No, I'm thinking of the fairy tale one. Wait. Hold up. What episode was that? Hold on. Let me check that real quick. I'm gonna check that real quick.
All my friends are toxic, all ambitionless, so rude and always
Thank you, I appreciate it, hun. Let me put this in here. Let me see. Samurai Jack, Samurai Jack Hunters.
Caesar, welcome.
Oh, the Bounty Hunter one. Wait, is that the one with the lion faces? Oh, there's so many of them. Those are with the lion faces, the 5 hunters, that one? I think that's that one you're referring to. Yeah, that went hard. Yeah, they went after him. I don't know if I forgot how he defeated them. I don't think he never killed, so like I don't think he killed them. I think he just I forgot how he defeated them. I don't know if he helped them out or he just beat them at their own game type stuff. Man, I tell you, when Jack's hair is all fecked up.
Says they let him go cause he was a good hunt.
There you go. Thank you, Hub. You got me on that one, yes. I think there was one other Samurai Jack one that was kind of crazy. Okay.
Says Waller, welcome.
It was another one. Another one for me for Samurai Jack was another haunted one. It was a haunted story one where he went into that house.
Light versus dark one.
Yeah, there we go. I think it was that one. That was the same one what I think he went into the house to help the little girl, and he couldn't get out, and the girl was trying to tell him that they was trapped.
Hi hum.
Yeah, hi hum. Bryce says hi. Hi hum. And I think what freaked me out about that one was when they were like they was going through that genjutsu phase, when the brother was just sitting there and he was like, his eyes was rolling in the back of his head. It was like freaking you the fuck out. I was like, what is happening? What is happening? I was like, what the hell?
Says at Renichi, hey Aaron.
It was just freaking me out.
Powerful themes that are displayed within just the
Says
artwork itself,
close,
and
hey,
seeing Musashi kind of grow and develop into a man, like going from his adolescence into a man. There's a lot of really important lessons that are here to be learned within Vagabond. At my number 5, I have Gantz, which is a series that I adore. A lot of people think Gantz is overrated. A lot of people think Gantz is nothing but blood and tits. And first of all, there's nothing wrong with blood
Samurai
and tits.
Jack
but
was
second
no
of all,
joke.
I think Gantz is
It
actually
really
a really powerful
wasn't.
story about the development
It
of its
really
main
truly
character,
wasn't.
Kurono, who starts off very selfish, just very teenage boy-esque. And through this game of Gantz where characters...
That's why if they made an anime on Samurai Jack, I'll watch it. I'll watch it with no problem. I'll instantly... If the Japanese ever think of doing a Samurai Jack adaptation, I would be so for it, not even kidding.
Sort of abducted and put into a room, given weapons, given suits, and then thrown out into the world in order to face down an alien threat that is actually way more chaotic and way more violent than you could possibly
And what I love
imagine.
about the Japanese, the one thing I love most when they do an adaptation, they ever hardly make any changes. They try to keep it exactly as is. They do it with their live action too. When they do like a live action anime, they try to make it as they try to be as authentic as possible.
Says, and she was to infiltrate and get information to take down his family's home.
Yes. Yes.
It's a story about survival. It's a story, again, about what it means to be human. What is the value of human life? Why do we continue to try to survive? And just seeing the development of Kurono from being this really angsty, overly judgmental, super horny kid in the beginning to becoming a true leader and somebody that people can look up to and actually falling in love himself.
Okay. Almost there. We're almost there. We're actually at the end of this. I want to just fix this chin a little bit. Thank you, Hum. I appreciate it.
It's a really, really great manga. To me, I think it's one of the best of all time. I know it has its criticisms. I know it's not a perfect manga. But again, if we're going with my top list of my favorite, Gantz is always going to be in the top 10, probably always in the top 5. And number 4, I have Hunter x Hunter, which is the other Yoshihiro Togashi story. And this is a strange one because if we're going by the anime, I probably like Yu Yu Hakusho a little bit more. But as far as like the writing and the manga itself,
I forgot, just to be clear, I don't know if you know, but we're doing reactions. So if I go dead silent and I just end up talking, that's the reason. I'm just answering questions and stuff, or listening, or making conversation about what we're listening to. If you want to be part of that, you can come over here on YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, or whatever platform you choose to be on. You won't be able to hear it on TikTok.
Says fine.
So I'm just letting you know. I forgot to tell you.
Because I think Togashi was able to do things in Hunter x Hunter that he wasn't capable of doing in Yu Yu Hakusho. He's able to take his themes and ideas a little bit further. He gave us the Chimera Ant arc, which is just incredibly impressive. And if the manga ever finishes, right now it's in the Succession War arc, which is going to be arguably on par with Chimera Ant. So yeah, hopefully it finishes, but even if it doesn't, still one of the best of all time. At my number 3, I have Vinland Saga, which is currently in its final arc right now in the manga. I am also reviewing all the chapters of this.
Oh, it's not its final arc?
If you're a Vinland Saga fan, go ahead and subscribe.
Oh, shit. Wait. So Thorfinn still gets back into fighting? I thought it kind of ends from that point. I didn't think there was going to be I honestly didn't think there was going to be like a season after that. Because like if Thorfinn gives up on fighting, doesn't that like change, like isn't that like the story right there? His redemption of like being a better person and not trying to be a bloodthirsty warrior anymore? I thought that was the whole point. I guess he still gets into fights somehow with someone or something. That's crazy. I didn't know that. I thought it was like kind of over at that point. I'm not even talking about the manga. I'm talking about the anime. I didn't think there was going to go any more further than that. I thought, based on what I saw in the anime, that's what happened in the manga, and that was it. Jesus Christ.
A lot of the other stories that I like, it's a great story about Thorfinn going on a quest for vengeance to begin with, that vengeance being taken away from him, and then him trying to decide what he is going to do with the rest of his life, put into these horrible situations of war and slavery, and then trying to create a world without that while also striving to be a better person. A lot of great themes, a lot of great messages within this manga, as well as really, really amazing artwork. Definitely highly recommend. My number 2 favorite manga, and probably will be for all time, is Rurouni Kenshin. And regardless of the controversy with the author, I think the story itself stands alone, and I can separate the art from the artist. It's a story that meant a lot to me. It is a story about redemption, about hope, about staying alive, and about the impact that you can have on other people's lives to try to make their lives better, along with incredible action sequences of samurai and swordsmen and ninjas and all that kind of stuff. Really, really great action series, but also delves into the emotional side of Kenshin and his history. And to me, I mean, this might sound really corny, but this is a series that really inspired me when I was younger. It was a series that I really needed when I was younger. And the more I go back to it, and whenever I reread it or watching the new anime version now, I'm just reminded about how much I love this series. So it's always going to be at the top for me. And my number 1 is obviously Dick Fight Island. I mean, how could you go wrong? There's dicks. We all know number 1 is Berserk. Do I even need to talk about it? Do I even need to talk about it? Obviously, Berserk is number 1.
I know. Would you like to read in your free time now?
I have to sell you on Berserk? Big man, big sword, themes of overcoming trauma and darkness, dealing with the darkness within ourselves, dealing with what humanity is capable of, living in a chaotic world, and hoping for a better future while trying to become a better person. Also, Chestnut Puck. Anyways, guys, there you have it. That is my 2023 list of my top 50 favorite manga of all time. Again, this is just my list of my favorite, not what I think is particularly the best written, but just what I really enjoy. So let me know what you think of my list down below, as well as put your own list. And if you guys want to,
I know, right?
If you subscribe to the channel, stick around, check out some of the other videos.
Bro, really just pull that one on you so fast.
That I just mentioned. I have a manga review playlist. I have an anime review playlist, a movie review playlist, and I release videos at least 3, 4, 5 times a week to check out, as well as live streams. I have a Patreon that you guys can check out, and just lots of fun stuff here. I started streaming a lot of games, so there's lots of stuff on the channel to enjoy. So browse around, check it out. If it's something that you think is interesting, go ahead and subscribe. If not, that's okay. You don't have to, but I appreciate you giving it a chance nonetheless. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you, and I'll talk to you next time.
I'm a therapist who goes.
Good for you. Anyway, that's awesome. I appreciate this video. This was a good video. Not bad. I did stop a few times, and I'm kind of saddened by that. That's going to be part of the video. I'm sorry for those who had to watch the parts that was not that interesting. I might have to cut them out. I might cut them out. I might try to, if I can, but it is what it is. So thank you for you guys watching. Like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. I hope to see you guys in the next one. And thank you for watching this manga recommendation / I read 50 manga review, blah, 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 whatever the fuck. So with that said, I'll see you guys next one. And also give a subscribe to Real Life Ryan. He did a great job at what he did. You know, he has around 100,000 subscribers. That doesn't matter. If a video's good, it's good. Doesn't matter who made it or what their number count is. Give him a try. Check his stuff out and show him some love. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.